Yeah, recapping the game on Saturday, I don't feel too much different after watching the videotape than what I saw on Saturday. I think that, for spurts in the game, I thought our defense was exceptional. I thought in the kicking game, we gave up one big play, but for the most part, that was pretty sound. And that's a big momentum play that you never want to have happen, that or a blocked punt, obviously. But, and then offensively, very disjointed, and I think some glaring weaknesses showed up in that game on Saturday, and some things that we got to really work hard this week to get fixed as we move forward. But excited about the week ahead. Obviously, this is a big game. Starts off conference play. A very tough, formidable opponent that is going to stress you out in all three phases of the game because they're good in all areas. So we'll have to be at our best, have a great week of practice to get ready to go down and play at a tough place. Toledo historically has not played very well down there, and this is going to be a big challenge for us. So that said, take your questions.
How concerned are you with the inability to run the football right now? And what is the biggest reason for that, you think?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that go into that, a lot of variables. But that sets the table for everything that you want to do. You can't be a good play action team if you can't run it. And then, and I don't think anybody, including us, is good enough to sit there and drop back pass every play and expect to win the football game. That's not a successful formula in college football. So, we got a really good back. We got to get him touches. We got to get him the football, and we got to do a good job of, being better up front, and the communication's got to be better, and we got to do a good job putting a plan together that will allow that to happen as well.
How surprising is that you haven't been able? Because I think going into the year, we all anticipated the offensive line being a strength. How surprising is all this?
Well, not having Nick Rossi out there the last 2 weeks has been part of this issue. And that's not there's a lot, like I said, a lot of variables that go into this. And yeah, it's surprising to a certain extent, but work still lies ahead. We've kind of had an up and down go at it here offensively. You played a team in week one where we were out big with a big lead and take some of your guys out. You lost 2 possessions early in that game because of the block punts. You go to Notre Dame and play a team that, all 11 guys that you're playing against are as good, if not better than you, and that makes it hard to run it there. And, Colorado State, all 4 defensive linemen are seniors or grad transfer players. So that's a veteran group, and, 2 big 6'5", 275-pound defensive ends that really challenged those tackles and put a lot of heat on them in the game on Saturday. So, but that's college football. I mean, there's week in and week out. You could play against a good player, and that's better than the guy that you played against at Notre Dame, and nobody would ever think that. So, you got to be ready to go each and every week. We got to handle the communication piece of it and do a better job of the operation of things. That's what's really discouraging to me, and get that piece of it cleaned up. To even have a chance to run it.
Chasing different situation, but a couple of years ago, you guys were feeling really good and had a performance that really disappointed you, and then go to Ball State. This year's similar situation in some ways. Did you learn anything after that Bowling Green game about the right buttons to push when the team is just really down? I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and it's a very real comparison. I think that that team was a very immature, very young team that maybe thought that they were on top of the world and got a little shell-shocked, and then didn't really handle that very well. And I didn't do a good enough job of handling it with them, to be honest with you. So I think it's a veteran group. It's a mature group of guys. This is a group of guys that I think playing well in this conference schedule means a lot to them. And it'd be very disappointing if we didn't go down there and play very well and play but we know what we're getting ourselves into here. We know we're getting a very good team that's probably had this game circled on their calendar for a long, long time. We know this game means a lot to that university, and then for them to beat us is a big deal. And it's the first conference game of the year, and I think the only conference game this weekend. So a very unique situation.
Can you take some big picture reads from this game, just in terms of if you guys are the group that you think you are, you will respond well this week?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the plan. I mean, I think that thinking anywhere other than the now is foolish. I mean, the now is tomorrow is practice at 8:30 and making sure that that's really crisp and that's really clean, and getting ahead of that and starting to worry about things that don't matter. I think that's where you get tripped up. I've been in this conference long enough to know that this isn't decided until the last week in November, and it never is. And the assumptions and the comparisons in September and October, they're endless. And you can continue to get caught up in those, and you can continue to make them, and they're all real. I mean, this isn't, hey, somebody made something up. These are real comparisons, but everybody's good enough to beat everybody on our side of the division. It's been that way for 15 years, and will continue to be that way. regionally recruited league. Every kid knows every kid. Coaches are good coaches. Each coach knows each coach, and you got to bring it every week.
What was the demeanor of the team, kind of the attitude yesterday?
Well, I think, it's nobody likes to lose. Nobody likes to, offensively at times I thought we were exposed. And, there's a lot of pride in that room. We've played successful offensive football here for a long time, and there's a lot of pride and a lot of grit and toughness out of some of those kids in there. And I think it's a matter of fact of get back to work and let's go. Like, what's complaining and worrying about it and not telling ourselves the truth going to accomplish? We got to tell ourselves the truth. We got to fix the mistakes, and we got to own it.
How big do you think the stakes are Saturday? I mean, not only the first conference game, like you mentioned, these are the two teams that people kind of pointed to in the West. You lost to Ball State the last 2 years, but also both teams are coming in 1 and 2, kind of disappointed.
Well, I mean, you can compare and see similarities in both of the schedules to this point in time from both places, but if you were in Muncie, Indiana right now, Coach New would probably tell you he's not happy and probably thinks that he should be playing a little bit better. I'm in the same boat here in Toledo, Ohio. So, that's not the challenge. That's the obvious thing. The reasons and all that. That's not what we're here for. We're here for solutions and getting things fixed and trying to make sure that we do our best job to play our best game Saturday.
When you've lost a couple games, is it hard not to fight the urge to make these sweeping changes? Because everybody wants to fix it. How do you not just go and blow everything up? How do you fight that urge, I guess, in the world that we live in?
Well, I mean, you've worked at this since January. You've built this team for 3 or 4 years now. If we can't authentically tell ourselves the truth and get small, subtle changes and to fix things that, have become glaring mistakes, then I think that's a real problem. So you don't freak out. You don't hit the panic button. There's not an overnight fix to some of this stuff. And some of this stuff might not go away on Saturday. We might have some of the same conversations here next Monday. So, we got to do what we can to fix the short term of this thing and give our players the best plan possible to go be successful. That's what it's going to require to win the rest of the games.
Do you think it's possible the offensive line will dictate who you have at quarterback, just in terms of, I don't know, if you can't get things going, maybe Taquan makes more sense because of his mobility?
Well, regardless of however it plays itself out, the recipe for success isn't drop back passing 50 times per game. I know that, and I know that that's not the case anywhere in the country, in any level of football. So, that will not be the plan. That will not be the recipe. You got to find a way to run it effectively. You got to be able to stay ahead of the sticks. I think right now after 3 games, our third down, we're averaging 3rd and 9. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's unheard of. And then sometimes we put ourselves in these positions in 1st and 2nd down by self-inflicted mistakes and, jumping off sides and doing things that, again, like I've said before, take no talent. That's really frustrating. So until we make a conscious effort to clean that part of it up and get that fixed from everybody being accountable for that piece of it, you don't give yourself a chance.
You've always owned up and you've always put responsibility on yourself. How difficult have the last few days been on you particularly, because it has been the offense that has struggled?
Well, it's hard to watch on tape. It's hard to watch on the field. It's hard to watch, guys that are more than capable not doing little things right. That's frustrating. And whether it's your own kids in your house or whether it's the guys that you love to death that you're coaching each and every day, when things don't go the right way, sometimes that's really, really frustrating. So, but we're in this. This isn't me. We're in this together. This is all hands on deck to get this thing fixed and to make sure that we do what we have to do. Again, like I said, to put a plan in place that allows these guys to go be successful. They got to buy into that plan. They got to execute that plan. When they go out and it doesn't look exactly the way that looks, we got to have the ability to fix it and adjust it and go through it. And it's not always going to be right. It's not. Adversity is a major thing in college football. How you handle that is ultimately probably how you're going to be defined at the end of it. Our kids know that. We talk about that an awful lot, and weathering that storm is going to be a big deal.
How much can a win this week in particular kind of quell some of the naysayers and things like that?
Go ahead. You can answer that one. Don't know. I mean, one game at a time. This is the next week. Got to play this one. We're living in the now. Tomorrow's Tuesday. We've got to have a great practice on Tuesday. We'll follow that up with a good Wednesday. We'll have a walkthrough on Thursday. We'll have to have great attention to detail from that on Thursday. We'll take the pads off the legs and go in just helmets on Friday and have a really clean run through what Friday looks like. And then Saturday we'll go down there and play that game and give our best effort to try to beat Ball State. So that'll be the plan. That's the recipe. Whatever happens after that, we'll have to get a plan on what the next week looks like. But standing right here now and worrying about what 2 or 3 weeks looks like or how my feelings are going to be after the game against Ball State, not interested, not going to do it.
Next couple games are on the road. We know there's always a home field advantage, but at the same time, road games can be sometimes there's less distractions. Is this an opportunity to kind of band together and focus on the task at hand?
Well, I think there's some truth to that. You know, I really do believe that. I think that you when you get away from here, and unique deal in our conference now. I mean, it's not what it used to be. You know, Friday nights is staying in a hotel before the games here. We don't do that anymore. Like, you know, doing that and having your team together and all around each other the night before in a home game, like I think that's a big deal. Some people don't. I think that's a big deal. You know, and you have that advantage when you go on the road. I think that's a way to get your guys up and out of there, gets them to kind of, you know, not see some of maybe the distractions that are potentially around them. And yeah, like you said, they can band together a little bit and have a good night and have a great meal on Friday night, enjoy their teammates, and then get up the next day and go play the football game. I think that's what's cool about college football. I think that's one thing that's really neat about being at a Division I school and being able to do that. I think that's really a part of the experience.
Didn't ask you about this the other night, but second half it looked like you guys had a couple guys going at it on the sidelines and kind of broken up. Is that just a frustration thing? Did you have to address that?
Well, I mean, I think there's some. Of course, you have to address it. I mean, there's some young players that don't understand what some of the work and effort and time and energy some of the older players have put in here, and you know, sometimes that's got to be reminded and refreshed in their mind. And you know, to their defense, some guys don't know any better yet. You know, it's their second week or third week in college and going through this. There's 123 guys dressed on a home game, which you know is a lot to have on the sidelines. You know, that's 53 guys dressed or 50-some guys dressed in an NFL game. There's 123 on that sideline. So, you know, there's a lot of things that, you know, are potential distractions there that you got to do the best job you can to just eliminate that stuff. But when you don't play well, there's frustrations. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And when you don't play well, there's frustrations. And, you know, you got, like I said, that's part of getting through that piece of it and handling it the right way.
You mentioned this briefly, but just defensively again, how encouraged were you by what you saw? Didn't give up an offensive touchdown, and I mean, other than McBride, they didn't really go for well enough.
Yeah, I mean that's a tough rushing attack. They were going to line up and try to eat the clock and pound us the whole time, and you know they got some rushing yards, but not giving up a score. And you know I thought those guys were excellent. You know, and fitting the right gaps and playing physical at the point of attack, all the things that are signs of really good defense. You know, really good job again on third down. They gave up a couple plays on third down that they would like to have back, but I thought for the most part a really good job on third down again. And when you can get the other team off the field, you know that's what you're looking for. So, you know, we've had flashes in all three phases. You know, now it's trying to put it all together and make sure that all three are playing at their best level.